The next candidate we'll be speaking to is Jack Dovey. Welcome.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
It's good to see you.
All right, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, thank you. Give you a little background. I moved to Federal Way in 1968, so I'm one of the kids that graduated from Decatur High School in 1973. I run a business, I have 31 employees, and I'm in the manufacturing business. And my family has lived in Federal Way a long time. I have two children, one's 37, one's 33, Jackson and Jenica. My wife Jennifer and I have been married 44 years and lived in the same area in Marine Hills since we moved here. And I went to Oregon State University and studied geography, business and science graduate, which learned how to do economic development of cities and climate change and things back in the day. And now I run a business that manufactures for the cellular telephone industry.
Thank you. So why did you decide to run for city council?
That's a good question. It was not on my horizon to run for city council. I decided to run Friday, the last day of filing, when I got thinking about the meeting where the council was discussing having a police oversight board. So I've been in enough back rooms that if council members had been strong enough and said, we're not going to look at that, that's not an option, it would have never got the light of day. And so I determined that that wasn't something that Federal Way needed. We need more public safety, we need more officers, we need to support the public safety group. And so that's why I decided to run. I mean, I've served before for 14 years, and I decided that if the council member that was in that position wasn't going to stand up, at least I'd challenge him and run.
What qualities and experience would you bring to the city council?
Well, I've run my own business since 1985, so I've been through a lot of things, making payroll, understanding how to run a business, hiring people, firing people, mentoring. But the biggest thing I bring really is experience. Nobody that I'm running against has ever served on a city council. I've got 14 years. I served as a mayor, so I understand how the system works. I was the head of land use, so I understand zoning, which is one of the most important things that happens in a city. I served as the chairman of the finance committee, the public safety committee, the parks and rec committee. So I've been and lived through all those battles and wars that go on in a city. But the biggest thing is I've been through two budget shortfalls where the city of Federal Way was down on revenues and we had to make tough decisions on how to stay and live within our budget. And that's going to be the biggest thing. We've had some really good times with revenues from the city and building, but having gone through two times where you had to lay people off and restructure the budget and make sure the city was viable, it's going to be pretty important, and that's experience I bring that I don't think anybody else does.
What do you feel is the biggest issue Federal Way is currently facing?
Well, there's more than one big issue, but I think it all starts with public safety. And that can mushroom out into a couple different things. There's public safety so people feel comfortable living here. That has to do with police support and making sure that things work so people, if they dial 911, somebody shows up. But the next step of that is what we call the homeless issue, which is a real hit on our public safety because we're dealing with more than just people that are traditionally homeless. And I was the president of the Federal Way Caregivers Network that actually fed the people in Federal Way for years. And we're seeing a different type of person, one that's not just in need from falling through the safety net, but somebody that doesn't have a concern about the law, doesn't feel that it's wrong to go shoplift in a building of a store, doesn't feel that it's bad to have a needle out in the street and shooting up. So that's the piece of public safety that we have to deal with besides officers and being able to get there. But how do we deal with these people that really don't have a care for what their life is like? They just are taking advantage of all the people that are doing everything they can to support their family and live in Federal Way. And then lastly, that falls into public safety, is just we have to attract businesses that want to be here. So you have to clean up the riffraff so that a business says, I'm going to locate in Federal Way because it's a good place for my employees to live. So that's all one issue. It's public safety, but there's 3 steps to it that you have to deal with.
Thank you. So what is your plan?
Well, the first plan is to look at the budget and figure out how we bring in more officers and then also fight what's going on at the state. The state put in some pretty bad laws on limiting what our public safety officers can actually do. And so the city council has to step up and somebody has to lead the fight to tell Olympia that those laws that you brought in last year are bad. So you need more officers, you need to support them, you gotta get rid of any idea of having an oversight board, and you gotta go fight Olympia. The next thing you have to do is you have to work collaboratively with the school district, the fire district, and the city, and Lake Haven. Because when I was mayor, I had breakfast with the superintendent of schools every Friday so we could talk about how we could work together. I don't see that happening. And I would encourage the mayor, who runs the city, to get back into those discussions so we know what's going on between the other entities that represent Federal Way. So that'd be the first thing I would do.
Yeah, that's, so how does your plan differ from your opponent's?
Well, I've been in situations where you have to talk to people and make decisions. And there's more, you need to know more than just analytics. You need to know how people work, how they talk, how you support them, how you work together as governmental agencies. And you can't be thinking of, you gotta take the tried and true approaches that have always worked in society. There's a black line and a white line. And you got some gray, but you gotta be black and white and stand up for what needs to be done and be willing to say no.
Yeah.
My job as a council member will be to make sure that the mayor is the best mayor Federal Way's ever had in running our city, but on the same side, make sure that the council sets the agenda of what Federal Way is going to be like for the next 4 years, and have that separation of the two governmental agencies, all except you're one. One manages it, council sets a policy, and then let the city run the business.
Why should people vote for you?
Well, I've proven leadership. I've been the mayor. I've been in every council committee. I know how to say no. I'm not going to be somebody that's, I think outside the box, but I don't think crazy stuff out of the box like Seattle. And, you know, I'm a proven choice that gets things done. You know, I built Celebration Park. I helped build the community center. I was the guy who figured out where the city hall should go. I was working with the other mayors when we did the asphalt overlay and the other council members. So most of the programs that we've instituted in Federal Way got my name on it somewhere, but it's not just my name, it's the council worked together and we had a good approach to get things done. So that's why you should vote for me. I know what I'm doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know,